for having me.
Thank you.
We have two Eddins this time.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
we do.
Not the first time we've had two Eddins, but we have a new one this
A
time.
different Eddins.
Gracie, Greddins, if you
Greddins,
will.
if you will, yes.
Thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Welcome, welcome. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Gracie. I am the oldest of the four Eddins children. And I live in Birmingham. Am a photographer. Am soon to not have the last name Eddins.
Hey.
Yeah, I was wondering what you were gonna. You're working on your rebrand,
I'm
which
working
is secret.
on a rebrand.
So maybe I'm spoiling that. But
Gracie.
yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was like, are you gonna
Like,
do like
how is this gonna change?
Gracie? Like, how's this? What's the change?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take that one up with Shelton and Josh. We'll see.
Yeah, I think it rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, it's so
Gracie.
natural. Gracie.
Yeah, that's great. That's fun.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that one.
Yeah.
We have a meeting this week, so
Yeah, I think you should.
Recent
Yeah,
developments.
you should pitch that one. I think that'll be good. I think
they're
they'll
gonna
like
eat that up. They're gonna eat that up. They're gonna love that.
Well, I don't want to go too far into that just yet,
Okay.
unless and we don't have to talk about it if it's a secret. But tell
Oh,
us
no.
about being a photographer. So you, background for listeners, you shot my wedding.
Yes.
You shot Steven's wedding.
Yes.
You've shot a bunch of our friends' weddings.
Yes.
We went to school together.
Mhm.
Yada yada yada.
Mhm.
How did you get into photography?
Well, I mean, this is gonna sound so trauma dump situation, but I feel like the easiest way to talk about it is talking about in 2016 we had a house fire and our house burned down, which is dramatic, but a lot of good things came out of it. And Dad had an old camera, and I've always done art stuff. I mean, I've always like been, I guess, interested in art, and Dad had an old camera that burned, and when a house, which this is kind of interesting timing because of everything happening in California right now, but I was thinking about this a lot this week, how like you have to go through all of your old stuff, which is super depressing. But if you have insurance, it's great because they, give it back to you, which
Yeah.
is great. And so Dad had
Insurance.
Yeah. This is
Insurance.
straight up plug into Peacock Insurance, our sponsor.
And our ad from today
Yeah.
comes from Peacock Insurance. But so we got a camera replaced, and my dad was like, "You like art? You should try photography." And I was like, "Okay." So I got a camera, and it was a Sony, and it sat on my desk for probably like 2 years, and then it just really like took off from there. Just started taking pictures of my friends in high school, and then as everyone does, we're like in a field or something, and it's like dramatic and whatever.
Yeah.
It started that way, and then here we are 3 years full time, and
Do you still shoot on Sony?
I'm a Sony girl through and through.
What do you
I love
have?
it. I have an A7 R4 or 5.
Nice.
I got a new one, and
Nice.
I love it. And then I also have an older 4, which is great too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love it.
It's funny. I was literally talking about it today. So before we were here, we were at Seeds with Joy and Jen, Nick, Davis, Delane. Gracie comes in, goes up to get her, and we were all talking about her fit because it was very New York and very cool girl. And she was walking up to the counter for coffee, and I was like, it hit me like very quickly because she was like, "Oh, we're going on this podcast. I'm excited, but I don't really I don't know what I'm going to talk about."
Mm-hmm.
And Joy and Jen were hyping her up, being like, "You're so cool, like you'll be fine." And as she was ordering, I was like, "It is weird." I told them, I was like, "It's wild to me to watch the fact that she used to be like, I'm turning the attic into my paint studio."
Yeah.
And it was like sucky.
Yeah.
It was like not good artwork.
Yeah.
And then now she's like 3 years full time, like going to the weekend. It's like the closest to influencer person that I know, which is like
Yeah.
weird, like so weird.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like so freaking cool. I also didn't know on the topic of the house fire, because we've been talking about like her rebrand and all this stuff.
Mhm.
I did not understand that was such a like
Pivotal
a
moment.
pivotal like my art's gone. I'm doing photo, which I
Yeah.
like. Was like, oh,
Yeah, because
I just got new clothes. That's like
Yeah.
all my mind was at.
Yeah. You got new cleats.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I had literally just turned the attic into my art studio, and it was epic. Like it was so it was awesome, and then it was like boom, it's gone, and I was
It
like,
was so,
okay,
like,
well,
Little
What do we do
Women
now?
Yeah.
core, like
It-
I'm a disturbed artist.
What kind of art were you doing?
oh my gosh, I mean painting. Like I think at one point I was like hot gluing like rhinestones to soda cans. Like it was just like crazy in there. Like, you know, like I think about too, like my dorm room with Haley Sue Harbison. We were like, it was like Mod Podge glitter, like fabric scraps, like everything was everywhere. That's pretty much what that space was like too. But
the
it was
thing
awesome.
that in our 35242 small bubble, Christian bubble, that everyone was like, Gracie, you're an incredible artist.
Yeah.
She like ripped old books, plastered them onto a canvas, burned the edges to make it look like decayed, and then painted like a lion's head on it.
Amazing.
And
it
everyone
was
was
very
like
Narnia core.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone was
ridiculous.
astonished.
It was super funny.
Yeah.
Yes, it was like Narnia art. Oh god, that's criminal.
We've talked a lot recently. We're also kind of doing a rebrand, even though we've already done a rebrand once before.
That's so exciting.
But we kind of just started word of mouth just to start something, and kind of just like threw up the first graphic that we kind of both liked. And we just have been talking a lot through with each other about the creative process and stuff like that. And how you kind of have to just start making stuff and put yourself out there. And it's also tough because doing that when you're in your 20s, you like know that you're going to look back and think that it's cringe.
Yes.
But you also, because you did things like that when you were younger, and you think that that's cringe. But you kind of have to do the cringe thing and put yourself out there thing to then get to the one day where you're like, you have good taste and 100%. You figured out what works good and what looks cool and whatever. When did you, so you started shooting photography, you're shooting friends. Did you ever do like people's grad photos and stuff like that? Or was it all very like artistic vibes?
Oh no, it wasn't. I was doing grad photos. I was doing babies. I was doing proposals. I was doing whatever, literally whatever I could like get my hands on.
Christmas cards for family.
So were you actually getting paid like in high school to shoot photos?
My first paid gig, I will never forget, Will Green, his brother. This was my very first paid gig. I think I was 16. Shout out Will Green. Love the Green family. Witten Green, his oldest brother, was proposing, and I hid on a rock at King's Chair because I didn't know the girl that he was getting married to, and I was just pretending like I was taking pictures of nature, the landscape, and then he proposed. That was my very first paid photography
How old were you?
I was 16, I think. Maybe 15 or 16, maybe.
Because you also did, does that include your first paid video? Because you started video. And
I did video also.
And then shifted to photo.
Yeah. That first paid video gig was Jack Wilson and Meryl Wilson's engagement video.
Yeah.
And Miss Christy Wilson was like, "You can do it. I believe in you." And I was like, "Okay." And it was great.
I'll try.
And then you eventually stopped doing video.
Yeah, I got to
Just
the point
not
where I
your
hated
thing?
it. I was like, I can't. I would get so stressed just like editing, and you have to worry about audio. You have to worry about, I mean, people who get it. Yeah, I like have the most respect for videographers because it was not for me. It was it was too stressful.
I thought about doing it for a little while. That was my internship in college, was doing video stuff for a marketing company, and the editing got to me. I was like, we did an interview with an architect and then filmed this house. This was like the big project that I did. It was super cool. It was this like big bougie house in Chattanooga. It was like 13,000 square feet, but 2 bedrooms, because basically the whole house was like a museum. Anyway, it was really cool, but I had to go through this like hour and a half long video that I thought was like an amazing interview that probably should just be a podcast or something. And I had to cut that down to like 2 minutes. I was like, how do I get, like, there's so much good stuff in here.
Yeah.
Like, how do I cut this down to 2 minutes to 3, 4, 5 minutes to go behind just like shots of the house? Like, I don't understand. I can't do that. It's harder.
And at that point, it's like, how do I even tell a story if I'm taking an hour and a half?
Yeah.
Like, what do I choose?
Which is now why I do a podcast, because I don't have to cut it down at all.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But you have to like lock yourself away for days just to like get it going. But I remember always like hating it, and then by the end I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of that. And then I would watch it back later and be like, is that even good? Like, I don't know. But yeah, I let that one go a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you go to school.
Stanford.
Journalism major?
Journalism and studio art.
Did you know you wanted to do photography?
I knew I wanted to do it, but I didn't think I could do it as like a career path. I feel like I was still kind of in the like, there's not scarcity mindset a little bit. There's not going to be opportunities for me. I should probably just get a normal job, like whatever. I think my parents were still a little bit, you know, I mean, I wasn't thinking, freshman year, I was not thinking. I was thinking I would just get like a journalism job or something.
Yeah.
Or a magazine job. That was really what I was like. I love print journalism. And so I still do. So, yeah.
Which is kind of coming back in vogue, I think.
Yes.
I've seen people starting magazines.
Yes.
Which is crazy, but also like I
Daily
kinda love
Edition
that.
is like,
yeah,
I just think about that.
A print store.
It's amazing. I love going there. Yeah.
Yeah. So you do mostly wedding stuff?
Well, so that's kind of the point of this rebrand a little bit is I do a lot. That's like bread and butter is kind of weddings at this point. And then, but this past 2 years, I've gotten like so many amazing small businesses in Birmingham have kind of, I would say, taken a chance on me a little bit with branding photography because I didn't have a portfolio for that really at all. And now I do. I have a couple, like a handful of like super consistent, super creative, like fun clients that I get to shoot for on a regular basis, which is great because it's different than weddings, because weddings you shoot a couple and you love them and you're like so in the trenches with them on a wedding day, and then it's like, okay, bye, like maybe they live forever away, I might not see them again. But I love the aspect of branding too, where I get to have those continued like relationships with people, and it's super fun. So the point of this rebrand too, with shout out Matey, we love you guys. They were on the podcast I guess a while ago, but Josh was here and Shelton. They've been amazing. So they're helping me kind of market myself towards brands a little bit more, because we're thinking like, you know, hopefully I'll always have those weddings coming in and be able to continue those relationships, but the brands are a little bit harder for me to market myself too. So we're trying to bring some new ones in.
It started out with like smaller Birmingham and taking a chance, but then I think the shoot that I've seen her do, golly, that was southern. The shoot that I've seen her do.
The shoot that I saw.
I've seen her do some stuff around here sometimes, but
good old Birmingham.
Birmingham. No, but the set of photos that I've seen that I was the most like, holy crap, like she's doing the thing, was Bottega and Bottega Cafe.
Yeah.
When you did the front of house, back of house.
Oh my gosh,
that was so cool.
That was the like.
I was having the time of my life on that shoot.
So
it
cool.
was so fun. It was so fun. Yeah.
So I think small Birmingham Bottega.
Right. Yeah. One of the best restaurants in town.
Which is still niche, you know. If you're out of town, you might not know, but it is. It was really cool.
Yeah.
When I figured out.
I think one of the coolest things
like
about like
amazing.
shooting video or photo for a place like that is just getting to go literally wherever you want. Like you just have this like VIP
access.
badge that
It's
you can just go
crazy.
into the kitchen. You can do whatever.
It was so cool. They were so kind to me too. Like I was all up in their space, and they were just like super welcoming and giving me free food, free drinks. Like they were just like, yeah, like wherever you want to go. It was just awesome.
That's so
And I was
sick.
there for like the whole night. They wanted me to capture like basically the story of a whole night at Bottega, from a guest perspective, from a server's perspective, from the chef's perspective. And so it was just like, I started with them, you know, cleaning the silverware and setting the table and all this stuff with an empty restaurant, to being like, and then like prepping vegetables or prepping the, you know, the dishes and stuff, and then going to like full swing, like kitchen, like fire, like they're just throwing spaghetti up in the air. Like it was
cool.
It was so fun.
That's sick.
So yeah, it was good. It felt like a whirlwind of, I don't know, the way a wedding day kind of has this buzz where you're going from thing to thing to thing, and everybody's got a role, and like I just love that dynamic, and so it was really cool to like get to capture that. I loved that.
I'm always curious. So as a former customer of yours,
Yes.
hopefully future customer, but I don't know what else for yet.
Honored you guys trusted me to capture your wedding day.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I have walked through the process of like meeting with you, talking through photos, talking through figuring out, you know, who's important to get pictures of, who's family, who's not, blah, blah, blah. How did you develop that process?
I mean, I think just trial and error. Like, you got to make mistakes to like make it better. So, I mean, there's been times where I've missed like stuff that I should not have missed, and I mean that's terrible, because like those days only, especially weddings and stuff like that, those days only happen once, you know, and like there's a lot going on, but just I feel like it just started with people being chill and trusting and saying, yeah, whatever you want to do. And then slowly you realize, oh, like maybe I should have a shot list. Maybe I should have, you know, like all these things that maybe I should make sure I give my input on the timeline and things like that. And, you know, then you get to the point where you like, you can kind of do it in your sleep, but I don't know.
I think that's a good segue to talk about your specific style and how you shoot. because, like you said, trial and error, and coming to a point where you're like, wait, no, I feel like this is where I separate myself. So it's considered documentarian style, correct, or no?
I would say yes, which sucks because it's such a buzzword now, especially in photography. But it's hard. Like, I feel like that's what I've been able to find the words for with working with Mady too. They've helped me so much because I can talk about ideas all day long, but I can't articulate it super well. And they've been like, this is what you do. And I'm like, yes, that's what I've been trying to say. And I don't know how to say it, but just being able for brands and for people being able to tell the story of their brand. So or the story of their wedding day, whatever it is. So, it's like, it is a unique perspective, and I would say it is documentarian but it's just, simply it's just more focusing on like moments and relationships, and maybe not, I don't know, focusing on like the perfect posed shot or something.
Less portrait, less stand here. Rather, hey, I'm just gonna, y'all do you. And
more
I'll
just like it's all there, and of course I have to give input and like make people feel comfortable. That's my job, but just, not manufacturing what's already happening and what's there. So more telling like the cumulative, theme of the whole day instead of like, we're getting this shot. So I like to think that I don't shoot the same way twice for different people because they all have different stories. But, of course there's some things that are like natural to my style, but I really try to just go in with a fresh eye wherever, if that's a business or if that's a new couple or client that I'm working with. So
I do think as someone who's been in a lot of weddings, it's an underrated skill to make people feel comfortable as the photographer. I don't know. It's not something you normally think about. Normally you think about the end product of the shot, but going into the shot, part of that is make people look real and relaxed and chill and like they're having a good time and not just, I don't know, standing in front of some big pillars at a church or something.
Yes. And it's so vulnerable. Like, it's like, not to be drama, but it's like they're in a vulnerable position, like someone in front of you, putting themselves out there in any, in a way to get their person who they are like captured. That's kind of vulnerable. So it's like you want people to, I'm like, experience is everything. If we're not having fun, if we're not having a good experience, what are we doing? So it's my job to help us have fun, and then that's where, or have a relationship with them, because from relationship, whether that's talking to a chef in a restaurant or talking to a bride on her wedding day, like that's from a comfortable relationship. That's where that ease will translate into the photo. So if you don't have that, you can't manufacture an ease or in a photo, or like, joy or happiness in a photo. Like you gotta cultivate that environment to make them comfortable. So, but I feel like I'm like studying humanity on a wedding day. Like it's so cool. It's so, or even at a reception, like standing back and watching everything happen and being like, I don't know, it's just awesome.
Yeah, I bet it's cool to people watch.
Yes, it's like the ultimate people watching. But yeah.
Yeah. Did you like mentor under anyone beforehand before getting into your working on your own, or how did that process go?
I feel like there's been so many people who have like made me the person I am today. But I mean, there's people now, like I think of Brian Johnson now, who helps me a lot through like a few conversations, and his wife Ashley. They've been so welcoming, and I mean, I think of Ryland Lovern too. She's in Colorado now, but
I was about to say, for a while it was
Ryland.
I would love to be Ryland one day, and now y'all like work tandem sometimes.
Yeah, we've worked together a few times, but she really, I was like, oh, okay, I can do it. She was the person that I saw in front of me. We didn't have, I was friends with her sister, so we did have a relationship, but as she was really getting into her business, it was like, I was like, oh, okay, a girl from here who's just doing what she wants to do and loves her job and loves like this work and this art, like if she can do it, I can do it. And Gina Hurry from Inspiro, which is a nonprofit here, they have the best mission ever. They just believe that like art brings hope and art brings unity, and it's important in the city of Birmingham specifically. And she has just like always been the biggest cheerleader and invested in me and taken chances on me since I was like literally 8 years old. So there's definitely been so many people. I'm sure there's so many more that I'm not thinking about, but so many people that have like influenced me along the way. But Brian now is a great example of someone who does a lot of different types of work too, and is not just in one lane or the other, because it's hard to find people who are not just for different brands or businesses or anything like that, or just a wedding
just
photographer.
Real estate, just wedding,
and it's just like
one thing.
Yes, and he's a great example of someone who's like super inspiring that does both. So
Yeah.
yeah.
What's the dream?
Oh, dang. Let's go.
I don't know. I think I love thinking about like campaigns and stuff, like shooting big campaigns for bigger brands and stuff. Like, not that I am obsessed. I like J. Crew, but not that I'm super obsessed with J. Crew. But thinking about like their campaigns that they shoot and stuff, they're like out on a boat in Italy, like shooting this awesome like sweater, and you're like, it's so cool.
Yeah.
But
Ralph Lauren also does that.
Yes, just like I don't know, I think that theme of like long-term relationships with people, like being able to find a brand that it's like, okay, we have a trusted relationship and trusted to shoot. They're kind of executing their vision that hopefully is aligned with my style too, would be super fun. But also just always like maybe a few weddings a year still being around, but maybe not that being the biggest,
right.
Chunk of the business, I guess. Yeah.
One of my favorite photographers I follow, I don't actually remember his name because his Instagram profile says Zweck. I think his first name starts with Z and his last name is Weck or something like that.
That's cool.
But he is basically responsible for all of Porsche's advertising from like the 70s through like the 2000s. So there are always all these like really famous Porsche ads that are like, amazing. You didn't dream of driving a Mitsubishi when you were growing up, and then it's like a Porsche 911 or something.
That's cool.
Kills bugs fast, and then a Porsche 911 Turbo or something. But it's funny because I don't associate him with any other brand except for Porsche, because he latched onto them and they latched onto him, and then like it kind of catapulted both of them genuinely, because now he's like one of the most famous automotive photographers in the world.
That's so cool.
And then Porsche is this huge brand, and he like drove so much of their public image, and now they're like one of the hottest brands in the car world. So
iconic.
Anyway,
that's
pretty
so
cool.
That is kind of segues into a thought I had. My thought was, what is one thing that you've seen on social media, art or whatever, that is like marketing, rolling out like a brand campaign or like shooting a new item or something that you've looked at and been like, wow, that was really done well? Because earlier on this week, I was on, I don't know, I feel like over the winter months, it's like a 4-day stretch of whether I'm on Instagram or not.
Yeah.
I'll be on it, get pissed, delete it.
Yep.
2 days later, I'm like, all right. I get back on it.
Uh-huh.
And gosh, I can't remember the name. I'm blanking right now, but it's that pattern that everyone knows. It's like tan with like red and different like black striped plaid.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the brand that does that. That's like their thing. But gosh, it's like very bougie, like Polo or something like that.
Amélie Ondor?
No, it's not them. But it's something that's a lot like old money vibe.
Yep.
And I got on their Instagram because there was a video of Cole Palmer in like their jacket and their scarf and making tea. And they're just interviewing him like, how do you like your tea made? And so then I got on their Instagram, and it was like the like British girl rapper Lil Skims that does like the song Girlrilla. Yeah. And then like Eze from like Crystal Palace. And then like a bunch of like British actors, and they just had them all wearing their scarf and their jacket, and would just film them fishing or sitting, but then they all had them do like a tea interview. Where they talked about like,
that's cool.
Hey, how'd your mom make her tea, or how's your wife make her tea growing up? And they have this whole spread that they just took in a bunch of different locations. And I was like, that marketing is so cool. Yeah. Because I was like, I don't know. I just feel no one does creative stuff like that now.
Yeah.
But
short story, Claire has started her clinical rotations, and she's working at this OBGYN at St. Vincent's, I think. Mm-hmm. And she said she met this lady the other day, and they were talking, and she said something about, oh yeah, my son, he plays over in the in England in that league over there or something or another. And
you're like casual.
Claire came home and she was like, is there some team like in England that's like it's like glass, or it's like Castle? I just started going through. I was like, Newcastle. She was like, no. I was like, Crystal Palace. She was like, yeah, I think it was that one. I met a lady today. She said her son played for that team. She met Chris Richardson's mom.
No way.
Yes.
Wow. Sorry. Came in
She was like a nurse
so
tech
cool.
or something. Yeah, it was super random.
He's
so
like
funny.
the coolest center back for US team.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, that's
And it's
sick.
like any soccer guy is like,
obsessed with him.
we have Americans in
him.
Yeah,
the
we
EPL.
have an American
We have
over there.
Americans in the league.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
awesome. He's super
That
cool.
is awesome.
That's
Anyway.
so cool.
That was super
Wow.
random. I was like, can I go meet her? How do I can't go to the OBGYN, but like, how do I go meet this lady?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Myres rocks up to the OBGYN.
Hey, my wife works here. I promise
I
it's
promise
okay.
it's not weird. It's not weird.
It's not weird that I'm here. I promise.
That's
Anyway.
so funny.
Tell me
That's
about
really cool.
fashion, Greddins.
Fashion.
Yeah. You like fashion. You have cool taste.
I like fashion. I feel like it's funny. I was thinking about this, how in college I was so inspired to like put together all these fits and like I really just like latched onto overalls, and I feel like that's all I wear / still wear. I mean, I love them. They're just the best. But I don't know. Like I feel like not being around as many young people every single day, it makes it harder to like be inspired to be like, oh, this is my outfit. Especially if I'm just going to a coffee shop to work, or now I'm a teacher, so I have to figure out like cool teacher fashion, which is like hard and not really.
And all
it's
the
definitely
kids
a
are
thing.
in skirts and
They're in
polos.
uniforms, which is like cool. Or this week was homecoming week, and I was like, oh, okay, so like it's hoodie day
Yeah.
for homecoming week.
Freaking sidebar about that. That was one of their themes because
I was like, that's
Westminster
kinda
doesn't
lame.
allow hoodies. So it was like,
That's crazy.
ooh, Spirit Week, hoodie day.
I didn't even
it's
know
like,
that.
that is
I didn't
so
even think about that.
lame. Sorry.
Yeah, so no, but it's like it's been. I feel like my fashion has evolved since college, where I think people would have put me in like a I don't know what category.
Like, I go to Max Patch every week.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
that category, and it's a little bit more like classic maybe now and simple, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. We went to New York in December, which I don't think we've debriefed on our podcast. Steve and I should probably do that. But
That's hype.
um
I'm about to go in like 2 weeks, so if you have
It's-
any new recs,
Really?
let me know.
I didn't know. Who are you going with?
I'm doing 2 girls trips. I'm doing high school girls trip into college girls trip.
Hey.
wow.
And my high school best friend and my college best friend both live in New York, so it helps.
Good.
It's
That
like
does
we
help.
can do it all at once. It's fun.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, we went to a bunch of good cafes. Have you been to La Cabra?
Yes.
La Cabra was amazing.
That was the only place. That was literally the only. Well, I went to a few coffee shops, but Stephen told me about La Cabra before I went last time, and I think we went like 4 times.
Yeah,
It's
we went
delicious.
a bunch of times. We went to every location. I think
That's
there's
so
3 of
hype.
them. The one in Bushwick
Mhm.
is like 30 minutes out of the city,
Mhm.
but that was my favorite shop that I went to. It's
That's
like
so
way
cool.
quieter. It's where
Mhm.
their roastery is, so it's bigger
Oh,
space.
Nice.
So if you wanted to go like have a quiet morning, that's
quiet
where
morning
you
in
should go.
Bushwick.
Yeah.
Is
I only
Say-
went to the
Say
Soho one.
Coffee's also there, right?
Say is there in Brooklyn, I think.
Mhm.
We went
I think I
and
went to Say in Brooklyn.
it's got like the skylight in the middle.
Yes.
Yeah, it was really cool. They were kind of
Was-
rude.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That's right next to
So-
Faith's apartment. That's the one that's literally
Really?
right across the street from my friend. Maybe I shouldn't say. No,
She
it is fine.
I was going to say, I don't think
She
anyone's
lives
going
in
to know
Brooklyn
where
on
that is.
19th Street
Yeah.
South.
Yeah, I'm like, here's her exact address.
Her address. If you look up and to the left, it's the
That's-
one with the
she's right
lamp
there.
in front.
It's got
yeah.
the disco ball in the window.
Yeah, yeah. That's funny.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but we were very inspired in fashion
It's just
from
the
going
best.
to New York. But then we got back and I went to work in Gardendale with, you know, the
No, but
people
that's
I
the
work
best
with.
though, because you got to bring those vibes home. You know, it's so good. I think everyone should go to New York a few times a year. I've decided I'm just gonna try to go
Yeah.
a few times.
Yeah, we want to try and go. It sounds like someone's in here.
We're good. It's Grayson. We're homies.
Okay.
Oh, I was
Gotcha.
like, hello, someone here.
Yeah, I had been once with my family for like 24 hours.
Mhm.
And it was not enough time to like actually understand anything about New York. We just like saw Phantom of the Opera,
That's
saw
awesome.
the Statue of Liberty from across the water, and then we like left.
That's so great.
So we went with Stephen and Gracie and Caleb and Abby person,
That's so
Yeah.
fun.
and we stayed for like 4 or 5 days, and that was like
That is amazing.
really, really fun. It was awesome.
Ella
'Cause-
and I, since y'all's trip, have been talking about because she's going with her family
Yeah.
on early February,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to see Wicked on Broadway and like do the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Let's
And
go.
we both were like, that is a quick. We're gonna immediately get married and save money to do like a trip
big
together
trip.
there
Yeah.
because that sounds.
I want to take Isaiah there so bad because
Yeah.
I'm like, he's never been and he would be so obsessed, but I'm like, The food and the clothes and stuff, he would die for.
He
it,
would
so
eat up
I'm
the
trying to get him there
ALD.
soon.
We built. Yeah, I was gonna say when you budget for going to New York, you should budget for spending money on shopping.
Yes.
That was
And
a
food.
big part of our budget was to go shopping,
Bring
which was
home.
also around Christmas time. So we basically did Christmas. Claire and I did Christmas with each other by just we went to the
Going
jewelry
there.
store and got her a ring and
that's so
stuff.
fun.
Anyway,
I don't know if this is your girls trip vibe, but that listening bar seemed like the coolest thing.
I was
ever.
gonna say that was probably the coolest surprise thing we did was we were in La Cabra and they have these really cool speakers up in the corners.
Okay.
And Jack Sullivan was actually also up there at the same time.
That's
we
funny.
overlapped for one day. And so we hung out with him and he asked one of the baristas about the speakers. And he was like, the barista was like, oh, it's this company called Silence Please. They just opened up a cafe or a location right down the street over in Chinatown or whatever. And so we just went because why not? And we walked in and it was one of the coolest. It was this listening room, big loft, you wouldn't really suspect it from the street. Hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of speakers around the whole space and just playing this kind of upbeat house music.
Fun.
And it was really, really cool. But I don't know if that's the girls' vibe.
I think half
that's
the
kind
girls,
of me and Steven's vibe.
No, I think half the girls would love that, and the other half that I'm seeing would be like, let's do something else.
Yeah.
There's a coffee shop in the back, right?
Oh, yes, there
So
is.
you
There's
Okay.
a secret La Cabra that's in the back of that shop.
That's so cool.
There's a matcha place that I need to figure out.
That's up the alley. We
Y'all
need all
would
the matcha
love
places.
that.
Yeah.
I'll figure out what that was called because that was an
Perfect.
amazing thing. It was in Soho. It was right by the Solomon store. So
Oh, great.
I don't know
I'll
if
look for it.
Yeah, that's probably my rec. We did
Sick.
Tonchin. Have you heard of that?
No.
It's an Asian place.
Oh,
Apparently,
so
it's a
good.
Michelin star Asian spot, but we spent
They were bougie.
I mean, it was going to Bamboo on Second. It was
Oh,
not
okay.
super expensive, but it
Frick
was
me, I love that
amazing.
place.
Let's talk about
Yeah.
bamboo.
Yeah.
Golly.
All right,
We could
everyone.
keep them in
A
business.
brief break. What's everyone's favorite restaurant?
What are they called? Momos? The Momos.
Momos.
Yeah.
Oh, you hadn't had those until the
No,
last
that
time
was
we
my
went
first
there.
time. So we went
gosh.
the Thursday before, actually the day before she got engaged, 2 days before I graduated.
Yeah.
That's
We as a
crazy.
family went to Bamboo,
Yeah.
and Elle and I within has look, we're adults and can do things that are fun. We would go to nicer restaurants leading up to us getting engaged, so it wasn't weird if we were doing anything
Yeah.
romantic. And so we started going to Bamboo a lot.
She wears white every time y'all go out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we would go to Bamboo a lot and quickly fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And so that was where I wanted to do grad dinner.
Yeah.
And her and Zay had gone and gotten the momos, the
Mhm.
pork bun things,
Dumplings, yeah.
steam buns. And then I love the freaking tempura green beans
Yes.
with the
Yes.
spicy pale
Yeah. So
orange
good.
sauce.
Unreal.
But then we had also, Ella would kill me. I've been wanting it for 2 weeks now. I'm just we could do dinner at Kava, or we could pick up spicy miso with pork belly from Bamboo because we can and it's
Yeah.
delish. But
Bamboo's also it's not that expensive.
No, it's not
you
that
can
bad.
do it for get out of there $35-40
Yeah.
for two people.
It's
And
you can
I
go
never
spend
did.
$30 at Chick-fil-A, or you could go spend $40 and go to Bamboo.
yeah.
I
It's
never
kind of
get sushi there though, which I feel like is kind of a
Really?
crime.
What do you
Yeah.
do?
Ramen. But speaking of ramen, we love Shoe Shop. That is
Yeah.
to me, that's the best ramen in the city. I
See,
think
we
that's the
haven't
best.
done shoe shop yet.
Oh,
so I
you
need
have to do
It's
that.
21 and up, which is kind of funny. So a lot of people hadn't gone there
Yeah.
for a while. Now we're far past that, but it's so
Old
good.
head.
It's a old head.
Yeah, now all
25
my
old
friends
head.
are older than that, so
Yeah, I'm like, guys, you're gonna get carded. Look out.
yeah.
It's.
I
so
don't know
good, though.
why it's 21 plus.
Me either.
It's
I
the
mean,
sake.
They don't
Yeah.
want they don't want the vibe of young people. They want
That's
you to be
fair,
like,
I guess.
I think that's just what it
Distinguished.
is.
That's
Because it's
probably-
a bar, but it's really just a restaurant.
Yeah.
It's a cool restaurant, but
Yeah.
it doesn't.
It
make much
probably
sense
is
to
more
me.
of a bar. I mean, I've gotten sake there once.
Yeah.
I mostly just go to get ramen because it's unreal.
So good.
But they do only have like I guess 5 or 6 things on the menu, so I guess that makes them more of a bar.
But it's not like it's like a dive bar where there's like people standing around
never
everywhere.
Seen people
Everyone's
just go
seated,
get drinks.
you know?
Everyone gets food when they go there.
And you're like seated. I don't know.
When I went to Bamboo, I was looking. Ella got this like, it was essentially a bushwhacker, but just like some type of Japanese gin or something in it. I don't know what's in bushwhacker alcohol wise, but it was basically just like a milkshake with alcohol in it. Yeah. But then I wanted some different type of beer, and they have this Japanese beer called Sapporo or something like that. Holy crap! It was like one of the best beers. I was like, every time I go there now, I get it. It's so good.
I've been seeing all these TikToks about Japan, and it's like, can't wait to see all the sights here. And it's like the sights, and it's like boom, 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 like all this amazing food. I'm like, should Isaiah and I go to Japan on our honeymoon and just like only eat ramen for the whole thing? Yes. I'm like, I haven't pitched that idea to him yet, but I think I should.
I was going to say, are y'all going to do like adventure honeymoon?
Well, I don't know. I could kind of see us doing both because we need a good balance of chill and like some fun stuff to do too, and good food. So it's like I don't know.
When are y'all getting married?
And we're getting married in October.
Okay.
TBD where. We're trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
This week, but
pending.
Yeah, pending. But yeah, I think we need a balance of both. So we looked at the all-inclusive thing, which could totally be cool. He was like, they'll just come up to your room and like bring you whatever you want. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, that's sick. So I don't know. It's a bit,
that's what your boy's doing.
Yeah, it is.
Catch me slumped in Cancun.
Yeah.
No, that you saying that brief story time. Ella's gonna hate that I'm telling the story right now, but I'm 100% telling it. So you saying we need something that's like equally fun and like chill. So as we're prepping to figure out how we want to do honeymoon, we're sitting there and I was like, well, like we could do this all inclusive in Cancun, and I was looking. I knew we wanted to do all inclusive because I've never done that and it sounds really fun. But I also knew I wanted to do one that had options, not just like chilling, because your boy gets antsy. I need to do something.
Gotta have something.
And your boy.
As I was
your boy.
But as I was explaining this,
tally for your boy.
Your boy tally. Ding. As I was explaining this, Ella was like, "What do you mean? Like it's gonna be fun?" And I was like, "No, it's gonna be fun, but like you love the beach." And like recently in the story, her and her little and grand little for fall break had gone to the beach for 4 days. Okay, Jacob and I, because at the time he was chatting up Katie. They weren't a thing yet. They weren't fish. But on the way down. So Jacob and I get there, and we get to the beach, and we're like hour 3.5 on our day 1, and we're hour 3.5 on their day 5, and they are so chill, and I'm like up and all right, like frisbee.
Let's do
like
something.
who brought our freaking waboba?
Yeah,
so we can chunk it.
Yeah, but
I was just getting so antsy, and I'm explaining this to Ella, and she was like, you don't want to just like sit and chill? I was like, no. Like, I know you want to do that. We can do that. But if we had a place that had like pickleball or like something fun to do. And she was like, you're going to get bored? I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to get bored. And she immediately, she's like, you're going to get bored of me on our honeymoon. And I was like, no, I'm not going to get bored of you. I'm going to get bored of like sitting on the beach for 5 days in a row. Like, I guess I'm just going to become a freaking reader for 1 week. Like, I don't read. Yeah. And she was like, you're going to get bored of me. And I was like, no, I won't. I promise.
You're not hearing me.
Yeah. So literally, I felt like my father. I was like, you are taking a blanket statement and internalizing it and making it personal. It was not personal. And she was just like, whatever. Like, but then 3 days later, after it's Black Friday, and I reserve our spot at Playa Mujeres at Cancun.
Yes.
And she was like, look, Cole, there's so many activities. And we can,
there's a Michael Jackson impersonator.
Yeah, literally. And she was trying to hype me up about the activities. And I was like, you're trying to be sweet. This is condescending. Yeah. I am excited. We're done talking.
This is the most our family conversation too, because Isaiah gets on me for the same thing. He's like, we can just vibe. Like, we can just chill. And I'm like, we got to have some thing going
You mean
on.
we can't
like,
go out to the second sandbar and dive for
yeah,
$7?
you're like, what
Yeah.
do you mean?
What do we do at the beach?
Where's the kayak that we're renting that we're gonna paddle
Yeah.
out and
Yeah.
get stuck in the waves?
Where's the
Yeah.
snorkeling gear?
yeah,
Yeah,
literally.
exactly.
Where's the bodyboard?
But her being like,
Where's the skim board actually?
Yeah.
you're gonna get bored of me on our honeymoon. I was like, no,
You're like,
no,
that's
no,
not what
at
I'm
all.
saying.
But I am pumped.
I'm
for
pretty sure
a
Isaiah and I
frozen
have
mango margarita.
Oh yeah.
No, that's gonna be
Oh,
hot.
yeah.
I'm excited.
Unlimited
Unlimited.
margaritas.
That's
But
fire.
that's my one. My story that tied
Y'all
into
did
We-
that for y'all's honeymoon.
We
Yeah.
no, we did
No.
Banff.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
And
yes,
we
yes.
kind of
that was sick. Y'all did like
we
the
were able to
opposite.
do we were able to do kind of both. So
Oh.
like it's snowy outside, you can stay inside by the fire and drink
Yeah.
coffee and watch a movie, or you can go out and like ski. So we
is
did
so
that.
cool.
We would we had a rental car so we could go drive the Jasper Ice Parkway and just go find like
Wow.
a place
So
to
cool.
hike and get up on top of like a sort of a mountain.
Mountain.
Go to the
Get a
Topo
view.
store.
Yeah, go to Banff is actually like kind of a shopping town, which
Wow.
is interesting. But it's like outdoor
That's like
shopping.
Ski towns.
Yeah. So it's like cool skate shop with like snowboards and like
Yeah.
cool brands that you like, or like Arc'teryx store or Topo
Mhm.
store or whatever.
Yeah.
That's where I got my backpack that I
Outdoorsy
had.
vibes.
But we kind of tried to do both because Claire would have loved to just sit on the
Yeah.
beach and do nothing for
Yeah.
days, and I
That's fun.
can't do that. So we compromised.
That's so fun.
But
That's marriage, right?
yeah,
Compromise.
compromise.
That's what people say.
Yeah.
I've heard.
Yeah, premarital counseling. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
What is the coolest place you've ever been, Gracie?
Such a
Because
good
you've traveled a
question.
good bit.
I do love to travel.
Let me chime in as the younger brother here for a second. Not only does she travel, but it's like once in a lifetime, limited opportunities. Just choose to grace Gracie's
Yeah.
presence like over and over and over.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
I'm scared to say
example
that
one.
that's true because I don't want it to stop happening.
Example one. She's a junior in high school. She goes on this apologetics conference in anywhere but the countryside of France,
Yeah.
and is there for a month. Then talks to the guy and is like, "Hey, is there any way we could like extend our stay?" Yeah, no problem. We'll also include a trip to Paris for free, tour to France for free, and we'll like pay for your flights back. So she
Yeah.
stayed in the countryside of France for a month and a half
Yeah.
for nothing.
Yeah.
I was 16. Why did my parents let me do this? I don't know. We heard of this opportunity, me and my friend, and we were like, yeah, let's go. And we were supposed to be there for a week. And then we were like, we are having the time of our lives. Like, we were staying in this chateau that's like older than America. And my job, literally, they're like, yeah, this house is older than America. I was like, cool.
Literally, like the country.
The country of America. And my job was to make the flower arrangements for our dinner tables every night. That paid for my stay.
Wow.
So I paid for my flight, but I didn't have to stay, like pay to be there. And they're like, you'll just help out around the house. And I was like, yeah, totally. They had like 8 different gardens. That's dramatic. Maybe 4 different garden places. And so we'd have dinner in a different garden every single night. And my job was just to make the flower arrangements for dinner. I was like, this is the life. And so me and my friend were like, hey, I mean, worst they can say is no has gotten me far
Way
in life.
farther than the
Yeah.
average person.
So I was like, worst they can say is no, let's just ask him. So he said, hey, can we stay for the rest of the summer? Because there was college students there, there was high school students there. We were supposed to leave after a week. We're like, can we just stay with the college students for the rest of the summer? And he was like, y'all are bold. He was like, I like that. Yeah, you can stay. And then he was like, yeah, we're going to
Crazy,
Paris too. And so we went to Paris for like 6 days when we were 16, and we like ran around at midnight in Paris, and like it was epic. It was like,
That's crazy.
I think about it now and I'm like, wow, that was like
In
awesome.
her mind, she's like, "Me and Indy Blue are the same."
I loved Indy Blue. I still do.
Yeah.
Love that girl.
Yeah.
Is that the best place you've ever been? Coolest place you've ever been?
I feel like I have I feel like the different experiences were also specific and like special in their own way, but I don't know which one is like my like favorite. But I went to Maine with my mom like not that long ago, and it was just amazing. Like I was like, I mean, the other one I would say is probably like Italy and like Amalfi Coast. That was like crazy. My best friend from high school is a flight attendant, and so we just got to like go for the summer for like a couple, probably like 10 days in the summer, and
Go for free.
Yeah.
well, we paid for our hotels and stuff, but like flights were free, which was awesome.
Only
Amazing.
the biggest expense.
Yeah. The most expensive part
The
of
most
getting to
expensive
Europe
part's like-
was paid for.
Yeah.
That was the craziest thing though, getting there, because it's like so remote that it's like, you know, you rent a car. I mean, we had some hard travel things that trip though, because it was like our car rental messed up, you know, blah blah blah, whatever. Who trusted me to drive a car on the Amalfi Coast around these, you know,
Switchbacks and
switchbacks
tiny
with like
roads.
massive buses that
Yeah.
they're like this close from you and you're gonna fall off the mountain. And I remember Faith being like, please turn down the music and drive slower, like we're going down a mountain right now. And I was like, we're fine, it's gonna be fine. Yeah, but then that place was crazy because it's so beautiful, but it's like someone has to come. They like have people who come and get your luggage for you because you can't carry it because you'll like fall downstairs. Because everywhere there, like you go, they're like, oh, our beach club is only 200 stairs down this cliffside, and you're like, perfect. And I mean, it was so.
And then they
cool.
make you put on a harness to then belay down.
It was like I was like, if I was a grandma, like this would be rough. Like this was crazy. But I mean, it was like obviously like probably the most stunning place I've ever been. But Maine with my mom was so fun. It was one so special because it's with your mom, you know. It's just like so. And my mom's like, my bad. We talk like, now that I'm planning a wedding, we probably talk on the phone like 4 times a day. It's getting ridiculous, but I love her so much. But we had the best time. We stayed in this cottage, and it was like on this little slough, and we were kind of like, we were definitely towards the south, and then like, you know, Acadia is all that, like 3 hours away. But we stayed on this little slough in this little cottage. It was so cool, made by these like interior designers. So it was like amazing. So the house was like super cool. And then but Maine just has everything. I'm like, this is the place that you go if you want a little bit of everything, because it's got the mountains, it's got the coast, it's got like the rocky beaches or some sandy beaches, it's got like the driftwood beaches, it's got the long grass and like the like crazy sunsets, and like it's a coastal vibe, but it's also like I don't know, it was just, we were definitely the youngest people there, but it was awesome.
I think Northeast is a underrated / slept on part of the country. Like Vermont and Maine are actually like gorgeous.
Yeah.
But no one really thinks about it. At least not in our circles. Maybe because it's so far away, but I feel like most people in our circles are like either out west trip or like the beach.
Yeah.
That's like what everybody does.
It was awesome.
What about you? What's the coolest place you've been?
My favorite place I've ever been was Switzerland. I a little bit feel like what you just said, Gracie. It's like where I've done some pretty cool stuff.
Like,
Summer after my freshman year, I think I spent 3 weeks at home, and the rest of the time I was gone traveling.
wow.
It was pretty awesome.
Wow.
The biggest trip that summer was South Korea, which I did for free.
That's so crazy.
It was a mission trip, and this school over there, it was like a Christian private school. They get a government subsidy for hosting English camps throughout the summer.
Yes.
So they take that money, and then they get people from America to come over, mostly college students, to then come teach English. But then
That's
it's
so
also
cool.
like English Bible school. So it's like
Cool.
kind of a ministry thing.
Sneaky.
So we spent, me and Kyle Bowman and like a few other
Yes.
people went over there for a whole month and
That's
like
so awesome.
traipsed all over South Korea.
That's really
and
cool.
Taught English, which was super sick. But Switzerland is probably my
can
favorite
imagine.
place I've
Yeah.
been.
I
And
wanna go there so
I
bad.
want to go back. Like I went when I was 17 on a Make-A-Wish trip,
Yeah.
Yes.
which was super cool. And then we did a similar thing where we said, can we extend our stay for another
Yeah.
week? And then
They're like, sure.
they're like, yeah, sure, just
That's
like
so
fly back
great.
out of here. So then we went to Paris right after that. So
That's
we spent a
cool.
week in
Awesome.
Geneva, week in Paris.
That's
Wow.
amazing.
And that was like most of the cool trips I've been on have all been mission trips.
Yeah.
So I guess at that point, since then I've gone on a lot more like vacation type trips. But at that point, that was like, I had never really done like a really long, cool
Yeah.
trip.
That's
and
awesome.
that was all for fun, if
Wow.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I also spent a month or it was 2 months in Ukraine doing missions.
Yeah.
Yes.
When I was like 13, which
I forgot about that.
that now is probably like the craziest thing since it's literally a war zone.
Yeah.
But
That was so insane. Oh my gosh.
because I'll probably never do that ever again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been to like I listened to, this is super random. I listened to Lex Friedman interview. What's his name? Zelensky? Is that like the president of Ukraine? I listened to him interview that guy, and they were talking about places that I had been.
That's
Wow.
Which is
yeah.
really
You're like,
wild.
oh.
I was like, I've been to Odessa. It is right by the water and really pretty, or it used to be. I don't know if
Oh my
it's, you know,
gosh.
I don't know what's
That's
left
crazy.
of it. Anyway,
Dang.
Jeez.
what about you, Cole?
I think the Yellow Mountains in China was like the coolest place I've ever
yeah,
been.
I forgot about that.
Huh?
I'm still
Yeah.
so bitter about that.
So what was really unfortunate is for some random reason, Dad submitted all of our visas at the same time. Gracie's, they didn't give her.
The
Dang.
Chinese government said, everybody, not you. You're the
That's
one we're worried about. And I was
crazy.
like, cool.
And
Okay.
so we went like 3 days early.
No. A week early.
Really?
A full week. Yes, because the trip was like 14 days. And
Yeah.
we went like 7. Dad and I finally got on the plane like 7 days into the trip. So I missed, because our sister's adopted from China. So this was like us going back to see where she was from and everything. So I missed the whole town that she was from. And they say like the most epic part of the trip. But I'm
Yeah.
so glad Joe got to experience it. Like it looks like
It
insane.
was, yeah. It's like, I can't even categorize.
What year did y'all go?
I messed with, I was,
2018.
yes, I was a junior
Okay.
or
Mhm.
sophomore
I was
in
a
high
senior
school.
in high school. Yeah.
I messed with Gracie. Like she has done really sick trips, but at the same time,
But she's never been to the Yellow Mountains.
But
yeah,
I-
frick you. No, it's like I've been able to
Frick
go to
you.
like
I've been to the
Uganda,
Yellow Mountains.
Guatemala,
Yeah.
China. Like I've had my fair share of like
yeah.
the Lord's obviously given us a ton of I don't know, kindness to be able to go do all that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But this part of the mountains, I don't know if it's outside of like Chongqing or where. I don't know what city it's outside of, but it is like considered one of the most beautiful parts of the whole country.
Yeah.
And we take like what are those called? Not like a
Gondola?
ski lift, but it's like the
Gondola.
yeah, gondola, like through the clouds, and then for another like quarter of a mile up. Like it was
Wow.
just crazy, and you then hike all these switchbacks. It's impossible to describe. Honestly, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna send you photos that I
Okay.
have, and you can put it on the video.
Yep. I'll put it on Instagram or something.
It was nuts, and it's like we walk and we get there, and it's 2 hotels that they built in this like incredibly
In the
remote
mountain.
part of the
Yeah.
mountains. And they had like a basketball court, so we were playing basketball with like randos in these like mountains. It was crazy,
Yeah.
but
Oh.
that's almost like untouchable compared to like I think the Grand Tetons were
Mhm.
spectacular.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've been able to go to Yellowstone, and that was spectacular. You know,
Yeah.
Chongqing was where we went to that roller skating rink,
Yeah.
and this city was like so remote in China that a lot of the people we were with had never seen a white person before.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so they were like coming to like roller skating with us,
Yeah.
holding our hands. Like it was
Yeah.
the cool.
Well,
like they were
what
so
was
sweet.
cool about it? I actually watched a video in Chongqing this past week, which is
Oh,
funny
really?
because I haven't thought about it since. What's fascinating is Chongqing used to be a mine city, but then for whatever reason, the mine industry just kind of left that city,
Mhm.
and so there are all these tunnels and like
It was
you think,
crazy.
You
it was
think
like
you're
caves.
on like what we would consider
Yeah.
like flat ground main level
Yeah.
roads,
Uh-huh.
and you'll look to one side and it's like, oh, there's like 2 stories of like apartments, and then you'll go on the road and you'll see like a barrier on the other side of the road, and you're like, okay, and you walk down and you look and there's 17 stories underneath you,
Mhm.
and
Wow.
all these mines
was-
were turned to roads and then turned to apartments and buildings. It's like
It was so surreal.
insane.
Do you remember those
Whoa.
caves we went into?
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
like the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. It was like a whole city underground completely.
Yeah.
It was so crazy.
That's crazy.
And so when we show up, we stayed at this like we didn't realize it, but like bougie resort thing that
Yeah.
had
It was sick.
peacocks walking around. It was like
Wow.
wow.
We had those like robes and tea sets in our room, so we
Yeah.
were all like, "Good morning."
Hello.
It was so
But
cool.
then so one night our parents, so we went with our family and then a family that we're close with that has 3 adopted girls from China.
Yeah.
2 of them are twins. And this was their like home
Mhm.
city, Chongqing. And so our parents were like, hey, we got here. We have like 6 hours before we're all going to go to bed. We'll get dinner and then we'll go to this like local arcade. And so we just walked through the city and it was really, really cool and really pretty. And then we go to this arcade and it's built into the side of a cave,
Yeah.
which is like, that's sick. Like
Yeah.
that's really, really cool.
That's crazy.
And everything in China, like the architecture is really beautiful. Everything is so clean. Like it was awesome.
I was going to say, this is something we've never really talked about, but going to Asia
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fascinating.
is so different. Like it's
Very.
different going to Europe. Like France, Paris is like a different place.
Yeah.
But you still kind of like see people who look like you, and
Mm-hmm.
you can kind of
Yeah.
recognize the letters, and the architecture isn't like that dissimilar to something you might see in America, other than it's just like older.
Yeah.
But like Asia is a different world.
Yeah.
It felt like I went to a different planet when I went to South Korea.
It was so cool.
It's so cool. I don't know. Everything is different. I don't know. I want people to go to Asia just to experience that.
Yeah.
Hadley and I say we're gonna go back and do like a backpacking trip to where
Oh, that'd be
where
fire.
she is, because I've never seen her city. I'm like, we actually have to
How
make that happen.
was China? Did y'all feel safe there?
Very.
Yeah.
So safe. It was so cool.
It was like by far the best family thing we've ever done
Yeah.
together, I feel like.
We got to take like a bullet train, like 2.5
That's cool.
hours to Chongqing.
It was
But-
definitely
but so-
emotional. It was
it
an
was, yeah.
emotional trip for
And
sure.
then, I mean, gosh, we could talk about it forever. But long story short, Hadley, when Hadley, our younger sister, when we were able to adopt her, she was 2, I was 6, you were 8,
Mm-hmm.
and Sam was 4 then. But the ratio at that point in time was 1 caregiver to 30 kids,
Mm.
and then
In an orphanage.
in an orphanage. So then, not 4 years before Hadley was then, it was either 4 years or the year, but I think it was 4 years before Hadley was then brought to the orphanage. They changed
The law.
plans. The law changed, and there was this ministry that came in and reorganized the structure of an orphanage for the specific one that she was at. And so rather than 30 to 1, it was 1 to 4,
Oh wow.
which
Mhm.
in terms of like a kid getting held,
Yeah.
their care, their development
Yeah.
is like essential.
Vastly
Yeah.
And then
improved.
on top of that, the reason why this specific one was cared for that way is because Hadley, it was for kids that had like a disability, and Hadley had this like muscle issue in her right arm, and it was nothing like, I don't hear that as like a disability. It was nothing
Right.
crazy, but in that culture, it was that. And so because of that, her nanny did a ton of extra care for her arm, and on top of that, Hadley was like a freaking cute baby.
Yeah.
And so
So
her
cute.
nickname was like Princess,
Yeah.
and the rest of them were like Duck, and like, like all these things. And so she was like really, really loved by her
Nanny.
That's
nanny.
really cool.
But literally, Hadley gets adopted. The nanny was so attached to Hadley, she quit the job
Mm-hmm.
because it was essentially like her kid was leaving her. And so then we went to the orphanage. Hadley shows up. Long story short, wild goose chase for a day. We connected back with her nanny,
Wow.
and it was like crazy, really emotional,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was super,
That's amazing.
super cool.
Yeah.
But
And then
Well,
our friends
yeah.
that we were traveling with found their birth parents while we were on that trip.
Yeah.
That was
Wow.
crazy.
crazy.
That is also
And now
insane.
they're like, now they FaceTime their like nieces and nephews and their sisters and like not
Holy
sisters,
cow.
like legit their sisters,
yeah.
like across the world. And now their family is like so expanded. It's amazing.
That's
so,
Yeah.
nuts.
yeah. But you can basically hire these people there that are your tour guides, but they're called like searchers or something. Like
Yeah.
they're literally called searchers or something like that. And their job is to be basically private investigators and
Wow.
like find your birth parents and stuff. So
That's crazy.
it's really interesting. But
Do people over there choose English names,
I don't know.
or do they
It was-
mostly go
that
by
was-
their own?
So they go by their own typically.
Mhm.
But what
Hadley's
was
is Lu Feng Jiao, and they called her Jiao Jiao. So
Yeah.
Okay.
that was her. So that's why her middle name's Lu. It's Hadley Lu. So that's
Yeah.
still her name.
it was fascinating though being there, and one like watching Chinese people treat Hadley with a lot of hatred
Mm.
because she was like
Mm.
with this white American family.
Mm.
Like I remember we were going through TSA, and this lady TSA person would not let her walk through until she wrote her Chinese name, and she was like, "I don't
Mm.
have a Chinese name." She was like, "You do." And
Whoa.
it was
I didn't know that.
fascinating. Yeah, because y'all weren't there. It was crazy. So
Yeah,
for
'cause
this,
you weren't there.
for this like, yeah, for this like week leading up to it, as a sophomore in high school, I was like, I'm playing dad, so I was like on
Like defense.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was
defensive.
very aware of all that.
That's
But then what was sick, taking it back to the Chongqing, when we were there, we were walking to this arcade, and we passed this courtyard of like hundreds of people doing Tai Chi,
Mhm.
right? And then we come into this cave arcade thing, and we're greeted by 15, 16, like 14, 15-year-olds who have really good English.
Yeah.
Huh.
And they're like,
They're so
y'all are the
cute.
first white people we have ever seen.
And they're like so
Wow.
excited to practice their English.
Yeah.
They've been learning it in school and stuff. It was awesome.
And that was like breaking the third wall in my brain. I was just like, these kids have really good English. They've never seen a white person.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And at the time, I'm like a douchebag. So I'm like, hey, let's get pics. Let's fire. Yeah, it was so dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so, that trip was incredible. In that moment, I'll send you a photo.
Yeah.
It was bad, but it was really, really cool at the same time.
In
It was
Get
South
Hadley on
Korea.
here. Tell her story.
Yeah, should. That would be fun. In South Korea, because we were doing VBS with like all these grade school kids.
Yeah.
And they would choose English names to go by.
Oh, that's
which
cool.
maybe that was part of the English camp thing. Now that I'm thinking about it, that might have been the case.
Maybe we asked them to choose an English.
But some of them came up to me and they were like, "My name is Chloe" or something, and would introduce themselves. But some of the kids chose like the craziest names. I had kids named Dinosaur. I had kids
Let's
named
freaking
like
go.
Tyrannosaurus Rex. I had kids named Iron Man and Captain America.
Let's go.
Like
That's
that was
awesome.
what their name tag said.
Oh
It
my
was
gosh,
so
that's
funny.
awesome.
But I don't know. I was
That's
curious
so
how
funny.
that
That's so
compared.
funny.
Greddins. I want to go back to art and inspiration
Okay.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you draw inspiration from? Is that from traveling? Because I'm kind of off of a high right now from going to New York a little
you're
bit.
Like, yeah.
But then I get back here and it's like, I
Yeah.
don't know. There's not like,
Yeah.
there are places I can go to feel inspired, but kind of nothing compared to going
Like
to like
going
a
around
new place.
here. Yeah. I mean, I think it's important to like get out of your bubble for sure. I mean, like what we're talking about with traveling and stuff, like I think that's like kind of the best education you can
Definitely.
give yourself really, and just perspective for sure. But I don't know. I think traveling definitely, I feel like I love having roots. Like I love like something that's still so important to me. This is what we've been talking about a lot with Mady too, is like tradition and knowing where you're from, and like family is so important to me. And I think that's like, I mean, it's funny because I feel like when I was a senior in college, I was like, I'm leaving, like I'm getting out of here.
Yeah.
And you know, I've been in Birmingham my whole life, but just like learning to love it and living in Homewood, just like a different kind of experience here too. But just like you can always have places to go that are like your place to be inspired. And that's what I talked to Brian Johnson about a lot too, because I'm like, why do you, because he has friends like, you know, all over the country that are doing like crazy amazing things. And I met all of them this summer in New York. I went to this photography conference and I was like, oh, you got to move to Brooklyn to be like a legit photographer.
Yeah.
Because all of these people that I met are like amazing, and we're like at this conference in Brooklyn. And shout out Daniel Kim, my wedding photographer. I'm so excited. But just like
Awesome.
these amazing people. And I came back and I was talking to Brian. I was like, Brian, why do you still live here? Like, not in a hateful way, but just like a,
you
is
could go
there-
do other things like this.
yeah, is there opportunity here? And he was like, Gracie, like you can get on a flight to New York for like a couple $100 and be there in a few hours. And
Yeah.
like, you can still have your roots and your space to breathe here. And I was like, that's so true. And I remember Anna Claire, my friend in high school, being like, you don't have to do the cool thing and like go somewhere. Like, if your business is taking off here, you should stay here. And I think that was God's provision. And
Yeah.
then I met Isaiah, and then here we are. And Isaiah and I both went to Stanford, and we didn't meet at Stanford. Like, there's so many things that just like fell into place when I was like, okay, it's cool. It's okay to be here and love where you're from and want to be close to your family and want to be close to your sister while she's in college, you know, and like all of these things. But I don't know. I think like being home and being with my family and being with my friends and being with Isaiah, like that inspires me a ton. Just like relationships, because then I'm like, I know my clients have those stories and have those relationships with their closest people, and I want to capture that the way that I would want that captured for me with my people.
Right.
So like staying home to me is still very inspiring and like life-giving to me a lot. But going to New York, I feel like that's kind of gone to, I think I went 4 times this past year, and every single time I did something completely different. And a lot of the times I went and just kind of like jumped into my friend's daily life, and that's like so good too, not to be like sightseeing 24/7, but just being like, I'm just gonna be here and like hang out and go on walks and like, you know, go to eat or whatever. But it's so inspiring to me to be there, obviously, just to be around all different kinds of people and go to new places and, you know, take photos of new stuff and just have I feel like the main thing for me is like conversations with people that I draw the most inspiration from.
Yep.
And I mean, I have a million art books. I have a million coffee table books. I have a million photography books. Like going back to that print, you know, journalism kind of like heart, that's like definitely like very strong for me too. So, yeah, I don't know. And just like vintage, like magazine campaigns and stuff like that. Like that's constantly what I'm kind of going back to and looking at, and old pictures of my family. Like my mom and I, while I was home for Christmas, went through a slide projector of her family traveling through Europe because she was born in Belgium, Brussels, Belgium, and
That's
there's
cool.
all these like sick pictures of, my grandfather was an engineer, I guess.
Engineer
and he like worked for like paper plants or something.
He would operate paper mills.
Yeah, cool. So they were like always moving every 3 years, and they lived in Europe for a while, and like looking at those old pictures, and to me, I'm like, okay, that's like thinking about my mom and how she, you know, looks at those pictures and loves them so much. And I love going through them. I'm like, okay, I want to take that for other people so that their daughters will go through them one day, you know, just stuff like that. So I would say there's roots in knowing like the thread of family relationships and stuff like that. Like that's become a huge thing for me, which I don't think a few years ago I'd have said that. So yeah,
that's cool. That's kind of how I view Birmingham, because I mean, my parents just moved here in November.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So like, especially now, I'm kind of like, we can't leave. There's no.
We're kind of locked in.
Yeah, we're locked in. But
they moved here for us.
That was like a big realization for me, probably like senior year also, because until I met Claire, I was like, I'm probably moving to like Atlanta or Austin or Denver or just like somewhere not here, to go on an adventure. And I kind of realized like, I've spent 4 years. I came to Birmingham, I didn't know a soul. I came to Sanford, I didn't know a soul. And I came here and spent 4 years building this community. I always I actually kind of hate saying that, because it really does just feel like God like placed people in my path. So I don't want to claim like
you've built it.
I made friends with Cole.
I built this community.
Like, that just happened, you know? Yeah. But I mean, I prayed for like my whole childhood to have good friends, and now I have like the best friends that I could ever ask for, you know? Yeah. And so why would I up and leave this just because like I'm tired of going to the same coffee shop or something? Like that's kind of
silly.
Dumb, you know?
And it's like the people make the places. Like,
yes, absolutely.
And for sure you could make that somewhere else, but yeah.
But I like my people.
Yes,
so right
exactly.
here. So so until, you know, everyone else moves away, then I'm kind of here.
We're locked in.
Yeah. And I don't think that's gonna happen, but anyway,
I had a conversation with Stephen this past week, because I remember, one, I think it's interesting, like, similarly in my path, I was claimed I'm never going to do junior high ministry. I'm never going to go back to Oak Mountain.
Yeah.
First job, junior high minister at Oak Mountain. And, dreams of I'm going to go out west and do ministry, or I'm going to move to Knoxville or Denver or wherever. And, I think there's like something that's really, really awesome and like maturing about seeing where you're at and realizing the relationship is like the goal, the relationship with people. And I talked to Stephen this past week because we had a conversation about a year and a half, 2 years ago, where he was like, you know, I've been in Gardendale and then I came to Sanford, and I loved Sanford, and I was here, and I developed these relationships, and then I start dating Gracie, and that's like the next thing. And then the thing after that is seminary, and so I move off to do seminary. And then the thing after that was like getting married, and then we're getting a job at Redeemer and getting a house, and now we're just kind of here. And like, quite frankly, just like not knowing why he was in Birmingham, not wanting to be here, but being like, I am
wanting
not
something to aim at.
Yeah, like I feel like I'm not similar to a lot of people here. And then within the past year, watching like our friends go from kind of you, me, Steve, Will, to then like Sam, Jake, Whit, like Jack, John, out of nowhere, just like, oh wow, this is, I don't know. I think it's just really cool. And then Steve now has said like, I'm never leaving Birmingham. I like love this place. And we just got to like flesh out like wow, what do you think changed? Why?
Yeah.
Like, it was so cool. And I don't know, thinking about Elle and I, part of me is sitting here being like, am I going to be in Birmingham my whole life? Like,
Yeah.
but that's not like a bad thing. Like what? Like Elle and I get to start a life here.
And it's just
I don't know.
there's time.
Yeah,
Like if
exactly.
you're here for a few years, great. And then it's crazy to think that we know where we're going to be forever. You know what I mean? Like,
ridiculous.
I don't know. I mean, tomorrow's not promised, but like, there's time.
Yeah.
We're young. We're very young.
Yeah, if we were, we are very young. And I think that I'm old, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I think it's too late, but I'm about to be 25.
Yeah.
I'm a child, basically.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Anyway.
Quarter life crisis.
No, I love the idea of Birmingham as like a home base.
Yes.
And I'm still like, I live in a little apartment in Mountain Brook, but I'm very inspired by Mountain Brook as a place because it's just like a very walkable community.
It's fascinating.
It's like interesting. There's nice houses to look at.
Places.
Yeah, Homewood is really similar to that.
Yeah.
So I probably won't live in Mountain Brook for many years, but like in my current place, I'm very inspired by it. I think to phrase it better, and the way I usually phrase it is, I am still not bored of Birmingham.
That's good.
Which is probably a good thing after living here for
and
like,
people used
I don't
to
know,
call it Boringham.
6 years, 7 years. Yeah. They used to call Birmingham summers bummer. I don't think that's true. I think
and now people are like, I love Bummer.
Yeah. Bummer is the goal.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I also wanted to ask about y'all's childhood and growing up, and particularly how y'all are all close to your family.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm also super close to my family, but I feel like that's not common.
Yeah.
I don't know, and it's a little hard to even hash out because it's like, I didn't grow up in another family, so I don't know what it's like when you're like not really friends with your parents.
Yeah.
But like my parents are my best friends, and from everything I can tell, y'all's parents are like your best friends.
Yeah.
I don't know what. Tell me about growing up. How does that work?
Dang.
You start.
How do you be friends with your parents? I think is what I'm asking.
Yeah. In a way, I think it starts with our family growing up in Birmingham. So my dad has an older sister and a younger sister. One lives in Florida, one lives in Atlanta. And we've gotten a lot closer to them, the Atlanta side, like, as we've grown up. Now, my mom's side, they, all sides, she has 3 siblings. All 3 live, 3 siblings. Two of the 3 live here. Mm-hmm. So her older sister and her younger brother, and then her youngest brother also lives in Atlanta. And watching their dynamic grow up, how like my mom and her siblings get along really well and are just like really fun. But even more so watching my dad love her brothers, I think from a young age was very like, and my granddad lived 10 minutes from our childhood home. And so we would, summers are, you go to Pop-Pop's, you go to Pop-Pop's pool, and the cousins
Hang
are
out
there.
with the cousins.
That's awesome.
And it's like
eat popsicles.
awesome.
Carve our name into the chimney on the roof.
Carve our name into the chimney.
That's so fun.
That was like
it's
growing
like
up.
iconic summer childhood.
Yeah.
Like, it was awesome.
Yeah.
We did that every summer for gosh, like 8, 9, 10 years.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, my granddad was really, really generous and had a timeshare. And so we would do that throughout the whole summer. And then we'd also, he would pay for all the cousins to go to PCB for like a week.
Animal City, baby.
And so like we just spent a ton of time around our immediate family growing up, which was awesome. And then like we're 17 months apart. Sam and Heather are 17 months apart. Sam and I are like 20 something. And that just is like built in peers, which is really fun. And I don't know, I think that like our parents pride themselves on like an open communication household to a fault.
Hadley would argue that we talk about things too much. That we are too emotional and too communicative.
She would argue that. And
so she's the engineer in the family.
Yeah. She's like, please stop crying.
And like, I don't know, there are definitely moments where it's like, okay, we're beating a dead horse now. But I would say the vast majority of that is positive.
Yeah.
And so that's just led for like.
I feel like too.
Yeah.
Our parents were like good about being like I'm a human, not like a parent. You know, like, and that kind of goes into the communication. But they were always just very honest about like, either like I'm struggling with this, or like we need you guys to pray for this, or like I don't know. They were just very open with us.
Yeah.
From the jump,
Like,
I feel like.
Hey, we can do this, but like if y'all want to pay for your taco mama, we'll get it as a house. It's like, okay, awesome. Like we'll do that. Like
I feel like they raised us to be really independent, or at least me. I feel like we kind of were raised to be very independent very early, and then it was like we had room to develop friendship with them too. Yeah, I don't know.
I think, at least in if my parents are sitting here, our parents are sitting here, they would tell you that like I was definitely the hardest to parent as a kid.
Facts.
Because we always joke that I'm the older sibling and she's the younger because she learned from all my mistakes.
Yeah.
I would just watch him screw up and be like, not
doing that.
Yeah. And it's because
Definitely
I
not
would
doing
just
that.
like lie about everything, think I was like hot crap, and just like.
You were?
I was.
I've seen pictures.
I don't know. I was just so arrogant
Stud.
about everything.
The hair.
Yeah, the hair that's like 10 stories tall. I'd be like, what? This is fire. And literally, when I turned 16, I had a...
Your boy Tally, number 3, I think.
I had a USA bandana in my hair as a headband to pull it back in my 16-year-old license photo.
Yeah.
And the lady was like, you really want to do this with that? And I was like, yeah, this looks freaking sick. She is. It's dumb. And I was like, all right. But I don't know, man. I think our family was just big on messing with one another. And I don't know. Like, what do you think leads to like, I think.
Us being close.
I think I would talk, as you can tell. I'm a huge talker, process verbally.
Yep.
And to my own demise sometimes with mom and dad, where I'd include them on, I did this and it was so funny and so cool, and they're like, you're grounded, that was dumb.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, if I did something that I knew I wasn't supposed to do, I like couldn't go to bed until I told my
your
mom.
parents. Yeah.
I was like,
See,
Mom, I
that is cold.
I
Yeah.
got
You
a
would-
speeding ticket today. Like, I can't not tell you that before I go to bed.
You would do that out of like, I'm a good son. Like, my conscience is eating at me.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, check it out. I did this. It's freaking sick. And they'd be
And
like,
they're like, phone,
"You suck,
you're not
you're
hanging out with your friends for 3 months.
Yeah.
You're like, great. They were strict on us, though. Like, they were definitely
they were
strict.
super
Which I
harsh.
forget. And
Yeah,
then
it's
you
like
think
I
about
wasn't
high school.
allowed to watch SpongeBob when I was a kid.
Same.
My parents like
Isaiah
watched.
flames me for that.
Yeah.
every
Yeah,
day.
everyone makes fun of me
Yep.
for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
My parents watched every movie before I was then allowed to watch it. I wasn't allowed to play like anything over an E-rated video game until I was like 18 years old.
Agreed.
And
Like,
then
all of
Hadley's-
that.
Yeah,
But
Hadley's
then-
the youngest.
But
just
then like
wreaking havoc.
when I turned 16, like my parents didn't give me a curfew. Like they just
Yeah.
let
See,
me go.
my parents were a little hard. What's ridiculous is that as soon as I graduated college, Dad was like, yeah, I had this like come to Jesus moment, and I realized that I'm just like putting way too much pressure, and it's just not a big deal. It's gonna work out. And I was like,
You're like, huh?
holy! I was like, if that would have been real sick for you to have that realization
A
last
while
year.
ago.
Meanwhile,
well, I feel like too they operated on a we'll trust you until you give us a reason not to.
Yeah, that's kind of how my parents
So,
were.
Yeah. So that was
you didn't.
Cole-
I gave them a lot. Yeah. But now that's led to like, because my parents, I remember, I could give you 1,000, because I put my parents through so much crap, and then I like matured and kind of figured things out. I'm able to have like free conversation. Because at one point my dad I was a 17-year-old, and I was like, I got the cop. The cop came up to me at a basketball game because I was heckling the other team just really loudly. And Dad went on this whole like, you're not allowed to do that. That's ruining your witness, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, if you're putting yourself on the court, you are putting yourself to be judged. This is not a bad thing. Blah, 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 all this stuff. And the conversation ended with me being like, look, I disagree with everything you're saying, Dad. You're my dad, and I'm going to obey you, and that's it. I won't do it, but I disagree. And he was like, that's all I'm asking. And I said, and that's all you're going to get. which is so ridiculous.
It's just the boldness.
But yeah.
That I never. And even now, like Hadley will say something to my dad, and I'm like,
yo.
Yeah.
what? Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, huh? It's shocking.
Yeah.
Just to
That's
air
so
out all
funny.
my dirty laundry.
But I mean, we have some good childhood stories. Like, I knocked four of Cole's teeth out with a Wii remote.
Yeah.
Wow,
He
4.
broke Sam's nose.
I broke Sam's nose.
He split his chin open. Like, we were kind of rowdy. Like, there's like rowdy, fun, crazy stories.
Yeah. But for every like story of me being like a crap son for a while, there's now like, I don't know, we just loved going to each other's soccer games. We loved everything was fun because you had a built-in like buddy with everything.
Yeah.
And then that leads to your parents like as you grow up and realize like, wait, my parents are actually like kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It leads to just like that relationship for me. Well, I mean, what would you say?
Yeah, I think I relate a lot to my parents trusted us until we were proven guilty otherwise, or just, did something to break that trust. But I wonder, like, when I was younger, I think they were a lot more strict, but I almost feel like they like let off the reins earlier than maybe other people did.
Yeah.
Like, I know of this family. I don't want to out them, but I know of this family who we were very close to growing up, who were like ultra strict.
Yeah.
Like couldn't have cell phones until you were 18. Like couldn't have access to the internet. Blah blah blah. Like all of the restrictions.
Yeah.
And now those kids are grown, and like one of them doesn't speak to their parents anymore, and they moved out and moved in
sad.
with like their Dungeons and Dragons friends.
Totally.
And like the other one is like some hick boy, like has multiple tennis balls hanging off of his truck, which is supposed to represent the number of women you've slept with.
Hey.
Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I just wonder, like, I know that there's a time where you are like the boss, the head of the household.
Yeah. Where does that?
But then at some point you have to like let your kids make their own mistakes.
Yeah.
And I wonder about that. I don't know, because like my mom didn't like the girl I dated in high school, but I was adamant about it, and so she just kind of had to like let me do that and let me get my heart broken and make my mistakes myself.
Man, I can't imagine mom and dad. If I wish I had like a recording of their conversations about like how we operated, to just be like, we gotta let him
Behind
dig his
the
grave
scenes.
and just lay in it, But it's fascinating how like I mean, I have stories of friends whose parents were really harsh and then eased up, and then parents that were harsh and then didn't, and their kid like really has a lot of frustrations with them, and I don't know.
Yeah, there's this. I mean, I think part of it is like you grow up a lot earlier than 18.
Yeah.
In some ways.
Yeah.
In other ways, like I feel like a child and I'm selfish.
Baby.
And maybe that's part of being married. I don't know. But I just feel very selfish.
Mirror to all of your.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to do the dishes. I want to sit on the couch.
You're like, why
I
am I
worked all
resorting
day.
to like a 10-year-old?
In my head, I'm having these like childish arguments where I'm like, I worked all day, so she should be the one to do the laundry.
Why isn't
I'm like,
she doing the laundry?
why am I just go do the laundry? It takes 5 seconds to put it in and put some soap on it. Jeez.
That's so funny.
But I don't know. Like I felt like at maybe 12, 13 years old, there was a moment where I really grew up and could think for myself. I don't know. Stephen always says that's like when you become a person, like a real
When you
person.
become a person.
Yeah, when you become a human is when you can like think objectively.
Genuinely, I told my mom this a couple of years ago. I was like, I don't think I could have articulated my decisions until I was 18.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely don't think I could tell you why I did what I did until I was 18.
That's probably fair.
Which is just great. Granted, I've had 8 concussions, but still, it's like, come on, man.
That'll do it.
Yeah. I think CF is maybe part of what made me grow up, because I had to take care of myself, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. You had to be on it.
Yeah. I don't know.
What would you say? What do you think is the biggest factor as to why we like that is something
Why
that
we're
when I came to college, I did not realize.
I
that,
agree.
Like, other
fully.
families didn't get along the way we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is just like, first and foremost,
even like people who are awesome and like have awesome families, but they're just not that close or something. I don't know.
I think too, we beefed for a long time.
Yeah,
That's what I was
were
also. I was
friends.
wondering if y'all like fought a lot.
we
Yes,
fought a lot
a
until 8th grade, until the Guatemala,
The mission trip.
the Uganda
I was about
trip.
to say, we went on a mission trip without our parents, and we were like, oh,
Oh, wait, you're kind of cool.
We can be friends. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And I feel like that was a huge turning point for us. And then in high school, we were like close and
super close.
Still close in college. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know. I think it's just like, I feel like the Lord has blessed our family in that way for sure, because there's so many things where I'm like, it doesn't make sense that this works out the way that it has. But I mean, I think, honest communication and just like, I think we all value like when we're home, we're going to be home, you know? And like, and now it's so fun adding like Isaiah and Ella to that too. Cause even this Christmas, we were like, okay, this is our last Christmas before, you know, we're all splitting time with everybody and stuff. And,
but even then we all were like,
Sam was like, it kind of feels like we're missing people now. You know, it's like, it was kind of sad that they weren't there. And like, it's so good for that dynamic to like change and grow. And that's been so special. That's what's so fun about like this season of life too. And doing it together. Like that's super fun.
Pretty cool.
But
and
it's
been
crazy.
Sweet to like, I was talking to Sam because my parents did this last year and did it again this year, which was really kind. But tail end of Christmas, they rented an Airbnb at a lake house and we would go, and it's just like, it's not like you can get on the lake, it's freezing.
Yeah.
But it's just different enough to where it's like, oh, we can like put away the phones, play games, chill. And Sam and I rode on the way there, and I asked him, because Ella was riding behind us, and
she had to drive separate.
Yeah, she had to drive separate. And I can't remember what. I got really flustered, irritable as we were leaving, and was like in my like motor go mode.
Yeah.
And was just kind of like rude. And so I pulled off at a gas station, told Sam to go buy us waters, went up to Ella. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was so like I'm
frantic.
A puddle around her. And we got back in the car and I told Sam, I was like, is it weird to see me like in this light that I'm just like bought in, like goofy, gross,
like
just
mushy
love. And he was like, no, dude, it's like the best thing ever. He's like, you're marrying your best friend and you're just like smitten all the time. And I'm like,
so
that is like really sweet. That like, I don't know, so many dudes would be like, that's so gross, you just said that. But like truly it is. And so it's cool to watch Sam be like really pumped for like me to go through that. I don't know. It's been really a cool
we have like
transition.
super supportive siblings and parents, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Did
y'all get along with Sam growing up?
Sam and I got along like we since he's been bored, we shared a room until I graduated college.
That's so crazy.
So,
yeah, I forget about that.
And so he, for a while, we would get along, but I would be a tool and he would like take it, and then for a while he was a tool and I would be a tool back. And so I don't know. It was like we got along always, and we also, I think what was huge for us is we played soccer together 2 years of high school. And then I got injured and I was like an assistant coach for like a year after that. But it was so cool to like, I start center mid, he starts center mid, and we played side by side in one state. And like, he's a way better player than I ever was, and Hadley was better than him. And it was just really cool to do that. And so I think that for our relationship was super important and impactful. And then inviting him to come to Sanford before he graduated to meet my friends, and now one of my best friends is his roommate, you know. And so like that's really cool. There's just always been overlap between all of our community.
And I think it's funny because you and Hadley are kind of similar, and y'all are kind of more like blunt personalities, and Sam and I are more people pleasing personalities, and so we've always processed things very similarly. So I feel like Sam and I could talk about a lot of stuff where he would be like, what do you think about this? Or how would you approach this? And like we would probably react the same way to situations, where you and Hadley would probably react more similarly. So like, I feel like we're really close because we're close in age, and Sam and Hadley are close because they're close in age. But then you and Hadley are close because y'all's personalities are maybe a little bit more similar the way Sam and I are. But then you and Sam are close because you're boys, and me and Hadley are close because we're the girls.
It's just like every dynamic. And it's fun. Like I love my relationship with Hadley because I am like protective, mush, I love you, and she's like, she's off like, me.
Stop touching me.
And but then also like all through high school, the thing I talked about with her most was like, how soccer, did you put the girl in the dirt? Like it was very
she's
like
so tough.
Tough girl. And now it's funny that her like like watching her come into college and be more like girly
Yeah.
is like fascinating.
So fun. Yeah.
To like think of Hadley like coming home with a boyfriend is like
crazy.
and not to be like
No.
she wouldn't.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be
It's, like,
wild for me to
vulnerable.
see.
Yeah.
It's gonna be vulnerable because and now Isaiah is so like, oh, I'm gonna beat his ass.
Yeah,
like,
which is freaking awesome.
He's so like he's so protective for
That's
her
so
too, which
funny.
is
Him and
so
Hadley
fun.
have a
Him and
really
Hadley,
cool relationship.
Hadley's like, sometimes I'm like, you're dating me. I'm like, yeah. Like, they're you're engaged now, but they're really similar. So that's really fun too. And I'm like, Hadley, does that mean you're gonna marry someone like me? Like, who's it gonna be? I don't think so.
And then like Hadley and Ella have this really cool relationship because she was her counselor at camp for a while.
Yeah.
And then like Gracie knew Ella before I even knew who she was.
I picked her out.
She literally called it that we would get married.
Let's say it here so it's on record.
Yeah.
Me and Margaret Payne, Ella's best friend from home, we said they're going to be together. He wasn't even at camp yet. And we were like,
this was a year before I'd ever met Ella.
They're going to be together, but we can't say anything because it has to happen naturally.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Margaret and I kept our mouths shut. And then at the engagement party, we were like, it happened.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
That's
but
awesome.
it really has been like, even saying it out loud now, it is crazy huge blessing for how like every way the coin flips, every dynamic, every line of connection is like, oh wow, like God's really like just giving us a gift in that.
Yeah.
And that's
like
quite frankly nothing attributed to our actions.
No.
And so it's so
because there's been plenty of things that could have made it not that way.
Lord.
Like so many things, and it's just we just kept rolling. So
That's awesome.
Blah blah blah. Family.
Gosh.
Love our families. Blah blah blah. We still need to get our parents to hang out because I think they would get along.
Bro, Your dad and my dad would vibe.
Yeah, I think so.
Your dad's such a chiller.
My mom got a job at Sanford. Did I tell y'all that?
Oh my
gosh.
No way.
She's the executive assistant to the vice president, which is Phil Kimry.
Sick.
Hey, Title IX, bro.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Womp womp. That's his role.
How long have we been doing this?
Hour and a half.
Whoa.
That's awesome.
No, that's the wrong one. I don't know the buttons.
I know we haven't done very many sound effects. I was kind of waiting for this.
You gotta say, hey, Gracie, what is the name of the hunk of a man that you're engaged to right now?
Isaiah Causey. What?
Oh, there we go.
I was like,
sorry. That's the one.
I love that.
I should have checked what these sounds were before. There we go. That's our outro music.
Nice.
Love it.
Greddins, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Honored to be here.
That was really fun.
It was super fun.
Super
We
fun.
did photography,
We talked
art.
about a lot. Mm-hmm.
We did
inspiration,
family, inspiration, travel.
Mm-hmm.
I think we got everything covered.
A lot of bases.
I don't think there's anything else to talk about on Earth
in the world,
actually. Yeah.
That's all. That's
Next time you come on, you're gonna tell us about politics and why you are a huge anti-masker.
Yes. Why you hate vaccines.
I can't wait.
You're a hardcore RFK
that was on
girly.
The do not ask.
Yeah. No, for real. This was really fun. Thanks for hanging out, and
Thanks.
We'll talk to you again soon.
Love it.
Cheers.
Just kidding. That's not right. Welcome to the secret segment. Did you know that we do a secret segment? Have you watched our podcast before? I was curious.
Yes, but I forgot about it because I was like, oh my gosh, wait, we keep going.
Okay, tell me about Zay.
Hey.
Particularly, let's start with how you met, and then tell me about it.
This is fun.
So we met in my driveway at my house, which is really funny. And because you graduate college, people get married, they move away, they get jobs, they whatever, so you get a million new roommates. So I've lived with like a million people, basically. One of the girls was moving in, and she brought a bunch of her friend group to help her move in, and he was one of them. And I was like, this guy's so hot. Mm-hmm. That was my first thought. No.
Who is that beautiful chocolate man?
Perfect. That's exactly what I was
Give me those cheeks.
What is that? Is that White Chicks? Is that what that's from?
Yeah.
Let's go.
It's a great movie. We were wearing the same shoes and we talked about that, and I was drinking matcha and he was like, "Where's my matcha?" Like, it was so cringy. and then he didn't say anything else because he's a pretty quiet, reserved guy. And then
mysterious.
And then
ooh.
And then apparently I asked my friend Maddie, who was moving into our house, I was like, "Who was that guy?" And she was like, "That's Isaiah. He's great. He's perfect." And then he was like, "Who's that short brunette girl?"
Who's that spunky little one?
And she was like, "That's crazy." And so she kind of was like playing both sides, like trying to set us up a little bit. And then we really like, they would always have game nights and stuff, and they came over like a few times that week to like hang out, and we talked a little bit, but he's not like the guy who's gonna be the loudest one in the room by any means, and I love that about him, and I think our personalities balance super well. But like basically he just got my number, called me, and was like, "I would love to take you on a date. I know you like art and matcha. I would love to take you to the art museum and to get matcha." I was like, perfect. And so then we had a week in between like him asking me out and our date, and I was like, "Do we talk? Do we not talk?"
Yeah.
Like, and we decided don't talk. And my friend Maddie was like, "I'm not telling you anything else about him. Like, you need to go on the date and figure it all out." And then we got there, and it was like an 8-hour date, and then we just kept hanging out.
Amazing.
That's a lot of matcha for 8 hours.
15 matchas later.
And you know what's so funny? I saw Claire Kennedy the other day, and I forgot that she saw us on our first date at Revelator when it was still Revelator. And she texted me after and was like,
"Who is that?"
I was wondering if that was where you went. That's like the only place I could think of that
Yeah.
has matcha that I would
And
get.
we opened this was also part of our engagement party, but we were like, you know, on a first date, you talk about like the weirdest, most random stuff because you're like nervous. You're like, what do we talk about?
You're like, "Oh, you have a dog, I have a dog."
Like, wow,
whoa, we
common.
know so much about each other.
But we opened this book on the coffee table at Revelator because we were just like, let's look at these coffee table books while waiting for our matcha. I don't know. And it said, the book dedication said, "For Gracie." And it says, "Who proves that like the best gifts come in small packages," or something. And he was like, "That's kind of crazy." And I was like, "That's kind of crazy too." It was just like this weird thing. And then he put that on a sign at our engagement party, and my friends didn't realize like what it was from, and they were like, "Why are we talking about Gracie being small?
So
like,
tiny.
like she's short, but like that's kind of a weird thing to put on an engagement sign."
Yeah.
Like,
The funniest thing
But-
is as we're at the party, there are all these like small, like inch by inch boxes around everywhere with like
This is
bows
so my
and
mom.
glitter,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "What the heck?"
What
They're
are these-
everywhere.
Yeah.
And like before they show up, I was like, "Mom, what are all
these?
these like little boxes about?" She goes, you know, for Gracie, best thing, small packages. I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "Small packages."
Small
I was
They
like,
made
she
these
goes,
tiny
Yeah.
boxes filled
Ridiculous.
with candy. They
Yeah.
were still to this day are all over my house. I really need to get rid of them.
That's
but,
funny.
Yeah.
She's like, "Hershey Kisses is perfect."
It's perfect.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, nice."
In the trunk of Claire's car is maybe 8,000 koozies with that design that Shelton and Josh did for our
With
wedding.
the wedding design.
Yeah.
Those, I still have those koozies.
Yeah.
I have
Well,
about
we have
6 at my house.
100,000 more if you want. And then
That's
y'all are
awesome.
getting married in October.
We're getting married in October. I'm so excited. It's gonna be awesome. We just like
What?
chill all day long. He's just my best friend, so I'm amped.
Excluding engagement,
Mm-hmm.
what is the best date y'all been on?
Oh my gosh. Okay, the one that just popped into my head. This is the one I feel like we both would probably say, but we did this was for our 1.5 years, I think. And now we've been together for like 2.5 years, but which is crazy. It feels like not that long, but it's been
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah.
We went to Civil Stoneware and we did like a pottery class and we both made two different
That's
things.
cool.
That was
And
cool.
we went to shoe shop after, and it was so fun. It was like so awesome. And Catherine, who owns Civil Stoneware, was amazing. And you go in there and she has this whole like charcuterie board and
Yeah.
wine, and like she's telling you about all the different glazes and all this stuff. And we had the best time. And now he's like, "We need to put a throwing wheel on our registry," because he's
Yeah.
like loves.
That's
he
hilarious.
has these niche things that he'll like get obsessed with, and
That's cool.
now I think we should do that because he was really good at it. It was annoying, but
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
picks up things he picked up photography so quickly and is really good at it. And I'm just like, he basically
He just can do
isn't bad at
everything.
anything,
Yeah.
which is annoying. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
but great.
That's
Well, cool.
awesome.
That was
Yeah.
kind of all I had for the secret segment. We usually
Love
just
it.
talk about love.
Love. Cole,
Nice.
tell us about Ella.
Oh gosh. I mean, what do you want to know? She's the best.
I mean, I know everything, but like,
Yeah.
Tell me
the
about her. I
listeners,
don't know
tell
any.
Myres.
I've never met her
You
You never
before.
met her.
We met.
I haven't been a part of your entire dating and getting engaged process. I don't know anything.
Not a thing. Actually, I'll zoom in on when Ella and I interacted. First time. We
at camp.
Okay.
So,
LJ, Georgia. I'm a counselor. She's an LIT, which means she graduated. This is crazy. She graduated high school and was going into her freshman year. And during all of orientation, there's like a huge part of like, do not date the LITs. They are basically students.
Yeah, you didn't come to Student Life
Island?
to get your student wife.
Yeah, all of a sudden we were on Love Island just then. But then like they were so weird about their dating stuff. But I don't know what happened. Like I remember
missed that talk. Apparently,
he went to the bathroom conveniently.
I remember actively zoning out for a while in that meeting. Because I was on the edge, we were on this like platform, and I'm guessing that's what I zoned out because they were really adamant about like.
No, it was like you will get sent home. Like it was like super
it was
intense.
bad, which I didn't know. And then, it was like we'd been there for a week for staff training. LITs come the week after, and I remember just being so like gross as a freshman and being like, I gotta be friends with everyone. Everyone loves me. I'm freaking sick.
Yeah,
and
you were
like engage and like interacting with everyone at camp.
I'm gonna feed all of your bad ego thoughts.
Yeah,
Like,
you were like the hot man on campus.
Yeah,
so true.
No. And but I remember being like, that girl's got cool curly hair and that Melly color is sick. And at that time,
Melly color.
Yeah, literally. My first thought was like sick Melly, sick hair. I like her. And like that was kind of it. And then we played Ultimate Frisbee like right after that. And again, because I was like trying to be like the everything man. And also, I mean, sometimes I get in moods where I'm just like ridiculous with any like athletics thing.
Yeah.
And so we were playing Ultimate Frisbee and I was just like being a goof, running around screaming. And apparently that's her first memory of me was
that's funny.
We were playing Ultimate Frisbee and you were making me like belly laugh, which is just like really funny.
Yeah.
And after that, I like
don't
no longer
anything.
Register who Ella is.
Yeah.
Until weeks later, when we had interacted some, we were playing cards. I was like, wait, this girl's kind of cool, and like, I think she's awesome. And then she like led a Bible study for like the whole staff or something like that. And I just remember being like really impressed with like how she articulates the gospel, and I don't know, I just thought it was cool. And then all of a sudden I remember being like, yeah, I like this girl. And what's interesting is the counselors work for 10 weeks, the LITs work for 6, and then have the option to come back. And I didn't think anything of this, but once she has finished her LIT, she went home, and I was like FaceTiming her while she was at home with her family.
Yeah.
Which is like, what the frick are you? Like, that's weird. Like, you should not be doing that.
Yeah.
But I didn't think anything of it. I thought it was normal because I was like,
zoned out, so you didn't know that that's
You're being such a
not
boy about
right.
that. You're like, oh, this is chill.
Because I was just
and
like, she's coming to Sanford. She's cool. Like, this will be awesome. And as we were talking, I was like, wait, no, I think I like really like her. And then she was like, oh, I'm going to be the intern here, and I'm not coming to Sanford. And I remember being like so pressed and so like, oh, this sucks so much. Like, and then I remember having a conversation with a guy, and all of this is like definitely over spiritualized at the time. And my thought was, you know what? Like, I'm going to pursue her at camp. Like, that doesn't freaking matter. Like, she is worth it. And that was like my thought. But that did motivate me to like get to know her and like hang out with her more. And then come like the third day of school, I was like, I really like you. I want to hang out. And then she made me work for a month and a half to like spend time with her.
As she should.
She know how worth.
She know how well.
And then we dated for 10 months, broke up for 7, got back together, got engaged in October, and are marrying to be wed on May 17th. In 126
it's gonna fly.
days.
We're gonna be there in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
It's gonna come so quick. I'm so excited.
Yeah. So that is
amazing.
Yeah, 30,000-foot view of Miss Ella Hill.
Love her.
Fantastic.
She's perfect.
Do you want to tell us how you met Clog?
Yeah.
I can. I ran sound at Redeemer for a while for the college gatherings, and she told her testimony on a Tuesday night college gathering.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it was Maddie Hickson's birthday. So we went to Mom's afterwards.
Love.
Because it was her 21st. And Claire was there with Ella Walker and like some other random people.
My roommate. Shout out.
Yes. And like her best friend ever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew Ella for some reason, I think, but I like was on the other side of the room from them the entire time, hanging out with some other people, and then was kind of getting ready to leave, so I kind of like mingled over to the other side to like say bye to people. And I shook her hand, and I think I said my name was David or something stupid. And she was
there.
like, I know
Name's
that's
David.
not your name, but hi, nice to meet you, I'm Claire. And then
And you're like, she's on to me. I dig that.
yeah. No, I felt like I needed to introduce myself because I had just heard her like whole life story.
Yeah.
So I introduced myself by lying to her. And then that was maybe October, November or something of senior year. And then Stepsing happened. And I honestly don't remember how we ended up started talking.
I remember you sat down next to her on Ben Brown, like on the bench.
I think
and
that's
just chatted.
Yeah, I think I left. I think you're right. I left the UC. I saw her sitting by herself, and I had this running bit with her for like a couple months where I would see her, and I would wait until she was almost out of earshot, and then I'd be like, "Oh, hey, Claire, what's up?" And then she would like kind of be frazzled and not know what was going on.
I love y'all's dynamic so much. So much.
And, so that was like annoying to her, but I kind of thought it was funny, and I like to be annoying funny. And so, yeah, I sat down. I think I ended up skipping a class because I was enjoying talking to her so much on Ben Brown. And I was asking her stupid questions like I always do with what's the dream? Like, what are you going to do with your life? Everyone loves those questions, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think she said she was either going to like go be a doctor or be a trophy wife to an NFL player. And I was like, well, one of those is not going to happen here. But we like, I think I saw her again a couple other times. We started talking. I got her phone number somehow or another.
Mm-hmm.
We texted a lot through Stepsing. And then I made my move when I sent her a picture of me and Stephen and Gracie and I think Maddie Hickson walking my parents' dog. And
Wish you were here.
I sent her a picture of that, and she was like, "Oh, I love dogs." I was like, "Well, you know, I gotta walk him tomorrow too."
I remember this. Yeah.
And so then I went and like picked her up from
Yes.
The ultimate wingman.
Yeah, I picked her up from what was that apartment building over there?
dog.
Estelle.
Yeah.
I picked her up from the Estelle, and we went on a walk. And
I remember you coming back from this like the next day on Ben Brown, and we were like, "How'd the walk go?" And
you know, I think I skipped something. I think I'm trying to remember the time. This is what happened. I went to Little Professor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I had for some reason gotten the idea from God clearly,
Obviously.
to ask her to a function. That was how I got her number.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I asked Gracie like maybe 2 days before I saw her in person. I saw Claire in person. I said, "Gracie, you like recently posted a picture with her. I kind of want to ask her on a date because I just thought it'd be fun to ask like a stranger to go to a function with me senior year because that's the kind of energy I was on. Your boy was on.
Your boy.
Yeah, boy.
And so I went up to her in Little Professor one time and I asked her what she was doing on like February 17th and asked her to go to a function with me. Then we went on a walk and then it kind of like snowballed and we talked. And
because I remember at that time we would hang like in that one room in the Upper UC like every week. And I remember you being like, "Yeah, we went on this walk and then we went to the function and I said I love her." And we were all like, "Yo, what?"
Yeah.
And you're like, "Yep."
Yeah, we moved really fast.
It was awesome.
We like so she went to South Africa that summer. So we start like dating somewhere around like February.
Yeah.
And then she left in like May to go to South Africa for the whole summer to do mission thing with CO. If she hadn't done that, we probably would have got engaged in like 3 months.
Yeah.
That is
But instead we
wild.
got engaged
Hey,
in
when
7
you know,
months.
you know.
Yeah.
7.
It's crazy.
And then married
gosh.
7 months after that. But it was like,
That's
I mean,
awesome.
it was that. It was also like right out the gate, we were having conversations like,
Yeah.
look, like we're graduating. I want to like move away.
Mhm.
So if you're serious about this, let's give it a shot. But if not, like, let's
Bounce.
just
Yeah.
move on.
That's so
and
good.
so we were serious about it.
I feel like
Pretty serious. Looks like it.
and now
Quite.
And now you have a kid, Pickle.
Now I have 2 kids.
You bought another cat?
Got another
Myres.
Wait, I thought you were
Talked
about to tell us
about
that
this
she
the
was
other day.
pregnant. I was like,
No,
Can you imagine? He
You got
that would be a
another
funny
cat?
way to announce that. Yeah, we got another
literally
cat
oh
on
my
talked about
Wednesday.
that.
gosh,
You don't
nice.
want to be the cat guy. Now you are. You have 2.
I have 2 cats.
I think we're gonna be cat people.
Oh, gosh.
I'm sorry.
It's really fun.
No,
It's
it's
they're growing on me a lot.
There's a. It's
and
a
I'm
lot
not
of.
allergic, bro.
It's a lot of fun for only $50.
You got a cat for $50.
Elmore County Humane Society.
The plug.
Wait. What's its name?
We think we're gonna name him Billy.
Oh, Billy and
Pickle
Pickle.
and Billy.
Yeah, he's a
That
little
is so
orange boy.
cute.
I'll show y'all
Wait,
pictures
is he
in a
like
minute.
very small or is he grown?
He's like less than 2
baby?
pounds.
Dang.
He's really cute.
Nah. Get
That's so
a dog.
cute.
Call her Maggie. Call it a day.
Bro, dogs be making my throat close up these days. I can't
Yeah.
do it. I can't do it
That's
anymore.
funny.
All right,
Wow.
let's wrap
Okay,
this
yeah,
up.
we got it.
Yeah,
Nobody
yeah.
gonna be listening
Pleasure.
for 2 hours.
Thank you guys.
Yes,
It's
sir.
fun.
Thanks for having us.
No, 2 hours. I feel like I should wrap up.
Yeah, nobody.